I am.
Alright. Imagine you standing in the middle of the field in front of 70,000 screaming fans. You wait for the quarterback to snap you the ball. As you take the handoff, you take a punishing blow by a huge defender. You get up to only hear the screams of thousands of fans. This is something that many USC players go through during their career. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I would like to explain and help you understand why USC football is the best collegiate football program under the Pete Carroll era. Most people have heard of USC football. It's not hard to have, especially if you live down here in California. It traditionally always has been a good football program. However, in 2001, it would take a dramatic change from a good program to a great program. In 2001, Pete Carroll was, well, this is Pete Carroll, by the way. Yeah, there's a few scenes of them. Pete Carroll was hired as the Trojans' head coach. He had previously coached for college teams that include Pacific for 3 years, Arkansas, Iowa State, Ohio State, 3 seasons as a defensive coordinator and secondary coach at North Carolina State, then returned to Pacifica as an assistant head coach and offensive coordinator. After that, he actually coached the NFL as well. He had coached for the Buffalo Bills in 1984, then held a similar position with the Minnesota Vikings for 5 years. Then he was the head coach of the New England Patriots for 3 years, and as well as the New York Jets. Carroll brought along with him much experience at coaching. But the game he plays is much different from other college coaches. He runs a pro-style offense, which actually prepares many players for the next level. Besides those 2 attributes that he brings to USC, he probably is the best recruiter, maybe ever. According to CBSSportsline.com, they went back to 2002 and added up the rankings of the classes according to Rivals.com and Scout.com through 2007. Each year, the top 1 team gets 10 points, the top 2 team gets 9 points, top 3 gets 8, etc. USC has had 6 of the top 12 classes since then. And since then, and they also have had the number 1 player 2 times in a row, according to Scout and Rivals.com. This year, Pete Carroll already has 4 5-star recruits. 5-star recruits are, it's a system based on 5 stars, and basically 1's the worst, 5's the best, according to Scout and Rivals.com. And they already have 4 of those, and already have the number 1 player to verbal this year. As you can tell, Pete Carroll must be a genius when it comes to recruiting. However, there are 2 things that Pete Carroll can lean on. 1, according to CBSSportsline.com, in a 3-year period, Pete Carroll bragged of playing 40 freshmen. 40 freshmen. That is just ridiculous. That's no lie, really. Pete Carroll gives every single player a chance to play. If you're a freshman or senior, it doesn't matter. That's a huge advantage, because when he goes into players' living rooms, he can honestly tell them they have an honest chance of playing as a freshman. What freshman doesn't want to play big-time football as a freshman? Number 2, since Carroll has been the head coach at USC, 42 players have been drafted into the NFL. 11 of the 42 have been first-round draft picks, and 13 second-round draft picks, which is astonishing. Some of the more famous names are Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Troy Polamalu, and Carson Palmer. As well as all these draft picks, Pete Carroll has also had 3 Heisman Trophy winners. They contain Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart, and the latest in Reggie Bush. So being able to say about all these Heisman winners, draft picks, and freshmen playing, that's a huge advantage in recruiting. On the other hand, all this recruiting wouldn't matter without success. However, in the Pete Carroll era, USC has found a ridiculous amount of success. Pete Carroll's winning percentage is .844, and he boasts a record of 76-14. That's the best percent of any coach in a 5-year span that's currently coaching. They have ended the year in the top 4 nationally ranked teams 6 years in a row. He has won 2 BCS national titles and barely lost a third. He has won 7 consecutive Pac-10 division titles, which is a record. They also have appeared in 7 different consecutive BCS bowls, which is also a record. I could go on and on about USC's accomplishments under Pete Carroll, but there just isn't enough time. But it's plain to see that under him, USC is a dominant force. Advantages in strategy, recruiting, players, coaching make this such an amazing football team. No other coach has really accomplished what Pete Carroll has in such a small time. I believe he will continue to keep the tradition alive and continue them in the right path of winning. Fight on, Trojans.
Oh, I meant to remind everybody who they were supposed to be evaluating. Martin, it looks like you knew that. Alex, you were supposed to do the evaluation, the oral evaluation. So, what did you think?
Me, right?
Yes.
Okay. I thought his thesis was clear. I like that he cited sources. His topic, he explained it well. He does make pretty good eye contact with the audience. There's one thing that I think he should improve was explaining more of his visuals. He didn't really kind of explain who was up there and who was holding the Heisman Trophy and all that. So, but other than that, he did a good job, and yeah, that's it.
All right. I thought the attention device, the visualization's okay. The topic identification is very clear, and you have a very clear statement of your thesis. What you don't have is really a setup of what the structure is going to be. And internally, although I think I can detect what the topical structure is, from a listener's point of view, you need to lay that out much more clearly, and you need stronger transition. So that's the weak part on the content issues. You did a pretty good job citing your material. All the original Pete Carroll stuff doesn't get cited, but everything after that, especially when you're talking about recruiting, you do a pretty good job citing that information. The visuals, they're just there. They're wallpaper in the background. They don't add much to the presentation. At the end, you've got a whole bunch of statistics and records, for instance, and I think that might have been something that would have been good to have. You know, number of teams who have appeared in BCS games in the last 8 years. Who's appeared in the most, the next most, and so on. Maybe that would have been a good way to visualize that, or the percentage, the win-loss percentage, something like that. That would be a little bit more dramatic. Like I said, the pictures are okay. They're barely large enough to see in here. Not too bad for the size of the room that we have, but they don't really add anything to the explanation. They're just, wallpaper, so to speak. I think that you look at the audience pretty well, but you are reading, and I think your voice ends up sounding a little flat as a consequence. And if you get away from doing the reading as much and just talk more to people, it'll be it'll come across a little bit more effective. And I put down good audience analysis. All right.